Is the world standing on the precipice of a global conflict, the start of a third world war? As we cast our gaze across the globe in this new year of 2024, the signs are ominous. There is a palpable tension that is hard to ignore, a shifting political climate that threatens to plunge us into a vortex of strife and discord. Let's start with the escalating conflicts in the Middle East. The smoldering battlegrounds in Gaza are on the brink of expanding, like wildfire fueled by a relentless wind. The United States and Iran, two formidable forces, are being drawn more directly into the fighting, a dangerous dance that could spiral into a broader regional war. Closer to home, the United States is wrestling with its own demons. The political polarization in the country is reaching a fever pitch, particularly around the 2024 presidential election. This intense division could very well be the spark that ignites acts of domestic terrorism and political violence. The fabric of unity seems to be tearing at the seams, with the nation divided more starkly than ever before. Moving our attention to the global stage, we see potential flashpoints involving major powers. The cross-strait crisis around Taiwan and the escalating war in Ukraine are but two examples. These are tinderboxes that could easily explode, causing a ripple effect of conflict across the world. Then, there is the chilling prospect of nuclear weapons development by Iran and North Korea. The creation and possession of such deadly weapons are not just a threat to regional stability, but to the safety and security of the entire world. As we delve deeper into these issues, we must ask ourselves, are these isolated incidents or a foreshadowing of a larger global conflict? The United States, once a symbol of unity and democracy, is now a nation divided. The year 2024, a year of choices, a year of voices, is marked by a deepening political polarization. The upcoming presidential election is not just a contest between political ideologies, but a clash between fundamentally different visions of America's future. The division cuts across every facet of society, seeping into homes, workplaces, and public squares. It's an ideological chasm that's not just about policy preferences, but about core beliefs and values. The divide is so profound that it threatens the very social fabric that binds this great nation together. The stark contrast between left and right, red and blue, has the potential to ignite the kindling of discontent into flames of unrest. The possibility is real, the threat tangible. Acts of domestic terrorism, once unthinkable, now loom ominously on the horizon. Political violence, a specter from a darker era, threatens to re-emerge. This is not just about political rivalry, it's about the very soul of the nation, the principles that it stands upon, and the values it holds dear. The increasing intensity of this division is not just a domestic issue. The ripples of this internal strife extend far beyond the shores of the United States. As America grapples with its identity, the world watches anxiously. Allies and adversaries alike are concerned about the potential implications of this internal discord. The United States, a global power, is at a crossroads. Its decisions, its actions, and its stability have a profound impact on the world stage. As we stand on the brink of a critical election, the world watches, wondering how this internal strife could impact global relations. The United States, once a beacon of unity and democracy, is now a nation divided. But in this division, there is also the opportunity for dialogue, for understanding, and for healing. The path forward is uncertain, but the journey must begin. The Middle East, a region marked by centuries of conflict, stands at a critical junction. Here, the echoes of past wars mingle with the rumblings of new battles, creating a cacophony of tension that reverberates across the globe. In the heart of it all, the fighting in Gaza, like a stubborn ember, refuses to die out. This conflict, deeply rooted in history and inflamed by political and religious differences, could expand in 2024, threatening to engulf the entire region. There are several pathways for this escalation. One is the potential for external forces, such as the United States and Iran, to be drawn more directly into the fighting. The ongoing indirect talks between these two nations to restore the 2015 nuclear deal have so far ended without progress. This raises the possibility of further escalation and the specter of a nuclear-armed Iran. The United States, already grappling with its internal divisions, may find its appetite for a deal diminishing as the 2024 presidential election approaches. At the same time, Iran, inching closer to the amount of enriched uranium needed for a nuclear bomb and reducing cooperation with the UN's nuclear watchdog, could push the situation to a tipping point. Moreover, the geopolitical landscape has changed since the 2015 nuclear deal. Gulf countries have begun to understand the value of a deal, but the war in Ukraine and other global conflicts have diverted attention from these nuclear talks. This could lead to a delay in diplomatic solutions and heighten the chances of a military confrontation. The situation is further complicated by the actions of non-state actors. Groups like Hezbollah, which recently claimed responsibility for launching drones towards an oil field in disputed waters between Lebanon and Israel, only add fuel to the fire. As these tensions rise, the world finds itself on the precipice of a potential disaster. The Middle East, a powder keg ready to explode, could ignite a broader regional conflict that would have far-reaching implications for global peace and security. As we stand at this critical junction, the world must grapple with the potential for a broader regional conflict. In a world marked by power struggles, the actions of major powers can tip the scales towards peace or conflict. As we delve into the geopolitical landscape of 2024, we find ourselves walking a tightrope of potential flashpoints. These points of contention, if mishandled, could unravel the delicate balance of global peace. Let's first cast our eyes towards the cross-strait crisis revolving around Taiwan. This small island nation finds itself at the heart of a power struggle between two formidable forces, the United States and China. Taiwan, a beacon of democracy in East Asia, stands as a testament to the ideals of freedom and self-determination. However, it also lies in the shadow of an increasingly assertive China, whose claims over Taiwan have been a source of tension for decades. The situation is a high-stakes geopolitical chess game, and the world watches anxiously as each move is made. Turning our gaze to Eastern Europe, we find another potential flashpoint in the escalating war in Ukraine. The conflict, which began with Russia's annexation of Crimea, has only intensified over time. The stakes are higher than ever, and the potential for a wider European conflict is a cause for global concern. It's a ticking time bomb, and the countdown has begun. Across the globe, in the Middle East, we face another unsettling reality: the development of nuclear weapons by Iran and North Korea. The implications are far-reaching and potentially catastrophic. The specter of a nuclear-armed Iran or North Korea not only threatens regional stability, but also poses a direct challenge to the global non-proliferation regime. The world is caught in a dangerous game of brinkmanship, with the future hanging in the balance. As these major powers continue their delicate dance, the world holds its breath, waiting to see who will make the next move. As we take a closer look at these escalating tensions, the question arises: are we on the road to a global war? The parallels are chilling. Just as the world hurtled towards the Second World War in the 1930s, today we see a similar pattern of political polarization, territorial disputes, and an arms race. In the United States, the political divide has deepened, reminiscent of the divisions that tore nations apart in the early 20th century. The upcoming 2024 presidential election has the potential to trigger acts of domestic terrorism and political violence, a stark echo of the political instability that once led to war. Across the Atlantic, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine continues to simmer, threatening to boil over at any moment. The situation mirrors the territorial disputes that ignited the Second World War. As in the past, the failure to address these disputes could lead to permanent territorial losses for Ukraine, a grim reminder of the consequences of inaction. In the Middle East, the fighting in Gaza is expected to escalate this year, with the potential to spiral into a broader regional conflict. This could draw the United States and Iran more directly into the fighting, mirroring the alliances and rivalries that once set the stage for global conflict. The development of nuclear weapons by Iran and North Korea adds a dangerous new element to this volatile mix. The world has not forgotten the devastating impact of nuclear warfare, yet the specter of nuclear conflict looms once again, as nations vie for power and dominance. Even the tensions in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea hold eerie similarities with the geopolitical rivalries of the past. Any miscalculation could trigger a crisis, pulling major powers into a confrontation that the world can ill afford. As we stand at this critical junction in history, the decisions made by these nations could determine the fate of the world. The echoes of the past are a stark warning. The world must heed these signs and work towards peace, or risk repeating the mistakes of history. In the face of potential global conflict, we must remember our shared responsibility for peace. The year 2024 paints a chilling picture of a world teetering on the brink of conflict. We've discussed the escalating tensions, from the widening political divide in the United States, the potential for domestic terrorism and political violence around the presidential election, to the brewing Middle East conflicts and the potential for a broader regional war. The world is like a complex web, intricately connected, where a single spark can trigger a series of events with far-reaching impacts. We've seen how the tension between major powers, including the cross-strait crisis around Taiwan and the escalating war in Ukraine, can create a ripple effect. The growing nuclear ambitions of Iran and North Korea add another layer of uncertainty to this volatile mix. Yet it's crucial to remember that conflict is not inevitable. It's a path that we choose, and just as easily, we can choose the path of peace. International cooperation and diplomacy are not just lofty ideals, but necessary tools in our arsenal for peace. They allow us to navigate through disagreements and disputes without resorting to violence. In times of tension, it's easy to focus on our differences, to see the world in terms of us versus them. But doing so only fuels the flames of conflict. Instead, we must remember that we share this world. Our fates are intertwined, and our actions, no matter how small, can have a profound impact globally. The path to peace is not easy. It requires understanding, patience, and a willingness to listen. It demands that we put aside our prejudices and strive for a world where dialogue trumps division, where cooperation overcomes conflict. As we move forward, let us remember that the path to peace is paved with understanding, diplomacy, and a shared commitment to a better world.